soldiers that are obese, but statistically, it's unlikely.
I mean, if you're having that much, somebody's gonna end up with an ulcer. Do you know what I mean? You got to take some gastric protection of that.
It can also cause varicose veins. Well, it can cause your arteries in like your legs to not be able
let's
to
get started.
Pump backwards.
But the worst thing is it's renal. It has renal effects as well. After a certain age, you
guys ready?
Renal failure. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Good enough for government work.
We got Craig in here? We doing that?
Oh, God damn it.
Which is why I quit taking a lot of the painkillers.
I just right back into it.
You ever lived on a flight line?
I lived near Ramstein.
Now recording.
Yeah, Bill might understand, but I used to live like right on a flight line, and I worked every day right on a flight line too, because I was on an Air Force base, and those guys like to
there we go.
break the sound barrier right over your head, and planes are not quiet when they're about to land, so you would have conversations, and you would hear a plane start to come in, and you didn't know that there was 4 or 5 more behind it also doing the exact same thing about to land. And so a conversation could be paused for a minute, 2 minutes, whatever. And then you would just automatically pick right back up where you left off.
All right, let's get started.
You mean we're not started already?
No. It's a proper podcast, Joe. We've got a beginning and an end.
It's off the cuff. Where's the show notes?
No. We're learning from our mistakes here. Linux OTC. Welcome to episode 50. I'm Bill.
I'm Eric.
I'm Majid.
I'm Joe.
I'm Leo.
Now there's a face for radio.
That's right. That's right.
We are joined by a special 50. Guest. Episode 50.
Break.
Who saw that coming?
Something.
I think it is.
Yeah, wow. It's halfway to 100.
Yeah. That's second. We're getting ready to celebrate our 100th episode on 3FT here in a couple weeks.
Can we just skip? What? Can we just skip all the middle numbers and make the next episode 100?
Yeah, I mean, who actually says that you actually have to go and have 100 episodes? We could just call it episode 100.
No, I think we should call it version number 0. something or other for 20 years.
Like GNOME versioning and just randomly just change it.
0.50 right now.
Yeah, 0.50.73. And he's
speaking of,
didn't this come out 20 years ago? Something like that.
Speaking of versions, got my new Thunderbird email. Really enjoying that so far.
Oh yeah?
Look at your face. I'm kidding. I was expecting a lot more response from that, but that one went over.
Man, I was excited.
This is a tough crowd.
You know what? I need a new email address, like a hole in the head, but I ran at full speed, such as I can, towards signing up.
Running your own server.
No.
Adding complications to your life.
I've considered it at one time, but I cannot find a single human being that's right in the head that's told me I should run my own email server. So
well, you're not right in the head, so it works.
No, it's a terrible idea.
It is.
It's a great idea.
Why Unless your name is Hillary.
Idea? It just requires a little TLC every day.
A little. Yeah, just a little.
All the time.
And continuously.
Beyond. You might as well have another full-time job that you're not getting paid
anywhere, for. It's because you can get email, sure, no problem, but trying to send it—that's the hard.
Well,
part.
See, it wouldn't be a problem if
trying to get
Google,
it received on the other end.
That's what he meant.
Right. It wouldn't be a problem if Google didn't just reject everything, right? Like, I mean, right? That's truly the problem.
Yeah, they are the worst.
It's an open protocol, friends.
Yeah. Yes, it is, and the ways that they have to, block the bad actors is so rudimentary and so high maintenance with block lists and blacklists, and it's a nightmare, and
Yeah,
the
but it's
demarking,
because those bad actors keep changing what they're doing every time the rules change.
It's
And,
functional
and statistically, how many people are going to be out there self-hosting their email? Very few. So if the
Bill?
people,
well,
No.
I used to. I did for
Okay.
years, and then it just got to a point where literally the amount of effort it took to just make it work was, I mean, email either works or doesn't, right? There's no middle ground. And once it doesn't work, the amount of effort it takes to get it back to working, and God forbid, I mean, if anyone ever sends you to spam and reports your email or your IP address, like you have to like put in all kind of requests to get yourself removed, and it's literally a continuous job to run and manage an email server on your own today.
I will say this though, I pay Google. I pay Google $80 a month for our
Boo.
Yeah. No, I know.
80 a month
for our workspace.
80?
Well, who else am I gonna? Okay, so consider that it has to be something that these knuckleheads on 3FT can access from their phones. It's dead simple, to be able to manage.
Free Google ain't cutting it.
And we have to be able to see. The good thing about Mintcast is we're grandfathered under the old thing that Google. I don't even know what Google called it back then.
Did you just
Are we even using that?
I did that. Yeah. Huh?
Are we even using
well,
that
we're using the email addresses. I mean, just to have separate email addresses for everybody nowadays, you're looking to go over, I think the cutoff is, I don't know. But for us to have 4 separate email addresses, and then the show has its own email address, and then we've got the drive space and all that. Well, we got more drive space than we need. $80 a month.
Isn't it like just $2 to do the domain forwarding thing so you can have your own email addresses?
Well, see, that's why I was considering my own email server, but then nobody seemed to agree with that. And the biggest thing is having something that everybody is able to, because it might surprise you to know that normal people would just as soon not fuck with this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Dave and Steve
I have
and
kids.
Malia.
I understand this.
Yeah. Isn't that something too? Because
didn't anybody notice how Bill calls his fellow podcasters on 3 Fat Truckers as knuckleheads? What do you call us when you're talking to them? Those hippies I'm with on the other podcast.
It's the funny thing, because we still use Video Ninja over on 3 Fat Truckers, and nobody has a single problem with it. I love that, because that is ostensibly feels like a more technical solution than just what we're doing right here.
Oh, it is.
But yet us nerds have trouble getting video working sometimes. And I the only thing I can think of is because we're the kind of people that put stupid
Your
shit
associates
on our
are
network.
using Windows.
Yeah, exactly. And we're on Linux. So that
And
They got it running. Joe, Steve, you look a lot like Steve. He's using Mint. He's got the manly looking facial hair thing going on.
Oh. So, but he's using Chrome, Firefox? What is he using?
I think
he's
calling
using
you
Firefox,
Joe.
I think.
That's what I heard.
So,
I mean, I know I've put on a little weight, but come on, man.
And as soon as we get Dave's studio set up, he'll be on Mint too, because not a single one of them has a machine that'll run Windows 11. So
yeah, but when I say that we're all running Linux, I mean we're all running different flavors of Linux.
Yeah,
the people that run Mint rarely had a problem with any of your setups, but if they were running something else, sooner or later they
by
ran across
people
a
you
problem.
mean Moss. We're talking about Moss and Bodie.
I wasn't gonna name drop there, but hey,
I'm not calling him out for being less than whatever, but. Yeah, he was using Bodhi.
Now I feel like I need to blow this Mint installation away now, just to.
But that's interesting. Why would it work on one distribution better than it does another?
Some library deep underneath that's different.
the module that's installed on.
It's
It's all on the
something
it's all on the
browser-based.
browser though. I mean that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, the browser should be a self-contained piece of functionality. I mean, yes, there are some things that it's
You said
sort
the
of
magic
reaching
word
out
there.
and
You said
but,
the magic
you know,
two
ultimately-
words. Could be. Could be.
well,
Well, okay. Actually, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit because isn't Bodhi based off Ubuntu?
Debian.
Oh, Debian.
Yeah.
So they're using Firefox ESR.
That's a good question.
Ta-da! Found your
Unless they-
differences.
yeah.
Well, shouldn't that work too? I mean, it's how
Well,
many
it should,
versions
but-
behind is it?
Yeah, but Joe's saying could be.
Many.
He's correct.
Yeah, it's many behind.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Then
10,
if you
15
run a
versions or something
VPN
like that. But it's like an LTS of Ubuntu. You're backporting all of the fixes and security and stuff like that. You're just not getting the new features. But maybe Video Ninja is expecting one of those new features or something like that, and that just isn't there.
It could be.
Where the hell did you get a purple M20X?
These? Oh, these are M50s.
Are they? They look smaller.
No,
Turn.
they're
Maybe his
Sure.
head's just bigger.
Yeah,
Where
I
did
think
you
that's
get
what
a
it is.
purple M50X?
straight from the gods, from heaven.
Amazon. Okay.
Yes, that is correct. They do deliver to your door. But that
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. But I think I bought
Before
them.
the tariffs, I assume.
Oh yeah. Well, I haven't felt them yet, so I'm buying
Haven't
all of my
either.
stuff right now.
Don't worry, they'll make phones in the United States and
yeah,
headsets.
They'll cost 10
Coskin
times as
1,000.
much.
10 times.
Yeah,
Yeah, didn't somebody actually see the projected of how much the iPhone would cost if it was
10 grand.
all the manufacturers there? It's something over $2,000.
Yeah,
I saw a
Yeah. And
TikTok
that's why,
yesterday.
that's why they
Yeah,
blinked.
10
yeah.
grand.
10, yeah. So that's why they blinked and exempted smartphones from the.
He
The
didn't
tariffs.
blink. It's 5D chess, my man. He's got everything figured out until 2028. Everything is going according to plan. Don't question it.
Well, I sense sarcasm. And so I saw a TikTok yesterday, and it was clearly AI generated, but it was brilliant. Somebody in China made this video showing what the manufacturing in the United States would look like, and it's a bunch of fat Americans sitting in sweatshops.
That's actually Chinese propaganda, which I mean, funny Chinese propaganda. But it is that's exactly what's been happening. So for the past couple of weeks over on TikTok, that's exactly what's happening is Chinese folks showing what's going on and undercutting places like Lululemon. Whereas you would buy $100 Spanx or whatever they are,
Yeah.
the Chinese folks are like, here we'll sell it to you for cost, which is like $4, and we'll help get it to you just to undercut American companies, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah,
The whole
It's all the
peasants
same
comment,
stuff
I
anyway.
think.
What?
Yeah, the peasants comment really pissed them off. So
It would piss anybody off. Whoa. I mean, Eric, you and I, we are the peasants over here.
That being
oh,
said,
hey,
I
man,
just
I
bought a
accept my
shitload.
place.
I just bought a shitload of Chinese underwear, so I guess I'm partially to blame for all this.
Oh, that's
No,
what
actually,
smells
someone-
like that.
There was
I occasionally
someone-
order my socks from AliExpress.
There's a video of the Dropkick Murphys at a concert, and he's like challenging a MAGA guy, and he's like, "I'll tell you what, I'll bet you a T-shirt and $100 and all this stuff, and it's just you can't lose, right? Either you get the money or you get a shirt or something." And he's like, "So have someone next to you look at the tag of your shirt and tell me where it was made."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was like, "Oh, Honduras, okay."
Well, there was one,
So-
somebody put a MAGA hat made in Vietnam.
no,
you
I
know
never
what I mean?
even
Yeah.
thought of that. If it's got a tag on it saying "Made in China," that would just be.
No, it says made in China. Most
Oh,
of them.
the
Yeah.
MAGA
Most
hats.
of them,
Yeah, that's
Yeah, of course.
fantastic. That's
We
fantastic.
don't make anything here.
No,
I don't understand why people don't get that. Like we
No,
don't make.
I think
anything
that
here.
I think they do. I think the question is, they feel that we did, and then China took all those jobs away. That's not the
we
reality,
did up
obviously.
until we did
but
up until
that is the
globalization.
perception. Yeah,
So this
that is
isn't
the
this isn't
perception.
Trump. This was happening for 45
Yeah.
years, 50 years now. You know, globalization is what moved all of that. I actually watched a thing on, and I'm sorry to get off on this quick tangent, but I watched a thing on trying to produce clothing here in the United States, from creating the fabric to having it sewn, and you know, and the whole process, right? The cotton, all of it. And so we still grow the cotton, but nobody makes fabric here anymore. It's almost impossible. There's one company that did it, and it was incredibly expensive because, of course, labor and all that. And then, you know, so they sourced that, and then they had to source the thread. They had to source the, you know, the people to do the work. And it was just, it took this guy years to be able to pull this off. And then the t-shirts themselves were like over $100. But I mean, that's how hard it is to do any of that stuff here, because we just don't have the infrastructure anymore.
You have to build the entire supply chain, and it doesn't exist right now. So I mean, it's going to be years, and
you'd
years
have
and
to
years.
pay, and you'd have to pay people a pittance to do it.
Oh, right.
'Cause
That's the other thing
biggest
that
that's
Well,
the biggest
think-
thing.
Or we accept that things are not that cheap. That's the truth, because
Yeah.
anything you look around at in your house, especially electronics and, you know, complicated things like that, you know, and I've always marveled at this. You know, you go on Amazon, you order something for $10, $20, and you're like, okay, this thing was built from materials that were mined all over the world and shipped to this place and shipped to that place and put together here and put together, you know, and now it's here in front of me, and somehow that only cost.
They got him. They got
got
him.
So conditioned
Oh, okay.
having.
Sorry, you froze for
You
a minute,
froze
and
for
we
a
thought
second.
they got you.
Oh, they came. Yeah, they
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
No,
Woo-wee,
that would be
man.
my fantastic internet connection. Sorry.
Ah, okay. All right.
Anyway, yeah. So I think that we're all so conditioned to cheap junk now, and if we want to make better stuff that costs more money, then.
And I think the
That's what it is.
examples
Well-
people use to describe we used
You
to make
people,
everything.
did you hear that?
Y'all.
The example people use to describe an America where things used to be made here, it was from a more austere time in American history when people lived.
Right after WW2, when everything was destroyed and we had all the power. Yeah, it was.
And
Yeah.
you know, that is what it is. I don't know. It's a ridiculous argument, I think, but here we go.
So what I'm taking from this is I need to buy my video card now, as opposed to in a week or two. Or
Well, I'm
because-
hoping that our stuff gets even cheaper, because they're going to try and, you know, move markets. You know, the Chinese are going to try and sell more to the EU, more to the UK, and stuff like that. So I'm like, bring it on, bring on the tariffs, mate, bring them on.
Here's my prediction.
Actually, you know,
absolutely nothing is going to happen
So,
of any substance whatsoever.
Majid,
Nothing.
do you have the extra room for me and my family?
Hey, that's a good question, Majid. You got extra room for me and my family?
Oh yeah, hey,
God.
Majid.
Let's all just, you know, get a compound or something.
Hey, now, as long as we
We'll
don't,
we'll all
drink the
go be
Kool-Aid.
Scottish.
No Kool-Aid.
No Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I'm-
No Kool-Aid allowed.
Do they have
Yes.
Kool-Aid in Scotland?
We've got Iron Brew. Iron
I've-
Brew. Made
I've
from
heard-
girders.
I've heard that
ERU.
is very similar, not in taste, but in like acquired taste to our root beer.
Yes,
It's just
it is.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
You kind of have to
Yeah,
work your way
it's
up
nice.
to it.
But when I went to Glasgow once, and the first thing I did was I ordered a deep fried Mars bar and an Iron Brew.
You went to Alabama?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. That's the state fair here, dude. They deep fry
Yeah.
butter.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's a Glasgow thing. They deep fry chocolates in fish in the batter that you normally do fish and chips, and
Oh,
it
they do
sounds
that
wrong.
here too.
See, if you'd have described that here, you'd have said
South.
chicken.
Yeah, but it is amazing. And you can go in and you can get any chocolate that you want. So like, you know, whichever one. But the classic is the Mars bar. And it's like having a really fatty, sweet donut, chocolate donut. It is amazing.
See, we do the opposite
Yeah.
here. We take everything and just
With-
run it
yeah,
under
with
a
an
faucet
brew.
of chocolate and cover it with chocolate.
Yeah,
I'm getting hungry
Deep
now.
fried Twinkies. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
yeah. Glasgow also has the lowest life expectancy of the UK. I wonder why.
because they're living it up.
you guys are forgetting the cheese.
Bill.
I'm sorry.
Bill,
Joe,
Well, that's an American thing, isn't it? Just put cheese on everything. Would you like cheese on it? Would you like some cheese?
Yes.
Would you
in
like
it.
fries with that?
I found out.
Uses a thickener.
I'll tell you the best regional dish in the UK, right? It's called a parmesan. You get this in the northeast of England, Newcastle, Middlesbrough, where I used to live for a number of years. And basically, imagine a pizza, right? But the base isn't bread, it's chicken fillet.
Yeah.
That's fairly normal.
Yeah.
One massive breaded chicken fillet, and then, the cheese and the bolognese and the
I've seen a
pepperoni,
lot
all
of
the
things.
kind of pizza
It's
toppings
Parmesan
you want.
chicken.
Yeah, it's got chicken. The only the reason I'm not entirely sure why it's called a parmesan, because it doesn't. It
There's a lot
actually
of
has
that.
bechamel sauce
you-
and cheddar cheese. But anyway,
You take a breaded chicken fillet,
Yeah.
fry it.
Yeah.
You get usually spaghetti sauce,
Yeah.
maybe even actual spaghetti, and then you
Mhm.
put that on top of your chicken, and then
Yeah.
you cover it in Parmesan cheese, and it's Parmesan chicken.
Oh, so okay then. So you guys have got it as well then. But I thought it was fantastic. It's very specific to that one area of the country. Nobody else has it in this country.
It's very
You know.
specific to all of America.
Well,
Okay.
Bill and Eric are very fond of Skyline chili. I
Yay.
hear.
I don't know that it's good. I like their 5-way or 5-layer. What do they call it?
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Was this a Linux podcast at some point?
Yeah. Yeah, we talked.
Actually, before it
maybe.
becomes a Linux podcast again, Bill,
Yeah, go ahead.
what kind of coffee you drinking?
This is HEB Texas Pecan.
Oh, hey, I just had some of that this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So I convinced you.
You
to
interrupted
ship
him.
it.
He was telling me what it is.
No, I know. I've
Wait
got
to
to.
interject.
Hold on. I've got to build this up.
It's an
'cause
empty cup now, but
We have had this conversation
Yeah.
for a little while about how good HEB is, and Bill was asking for a good coffee. I was like, oh, a lot of people down here like Texas pecan, and so this guy goes on Amazon and gets it shipped from Texas to himself, and has been brewing this for the past few weeks, right?
well, there's a chain of truck stops. I say chain. There's like 2 locations down there. One's in Victoria, Texas, called the Texan, and they've got their own bespoke brand of Texas pecan coffee. And recently they started selling the K-Cups right there in the store. It's kind of like a more trucker version of Buc-ee's. Only not quite as big. And it was good, but there was no way to buy that outside of Texas. And outside of South Texas at that. So I get a hold of, I don't remember what started the conversation with Leo, but I was telling him about the coffee, and Leo turned me on to the HEB, and wouldn't you know it, you can get it on Amazon. So, and
You
it's
can. And so I looked at it's about the same price, like how much it would take to get it to you for real. So like you're not actually paying any extra other than the shipping cost.
well, it
because-
must be right here in the distribution center in Fort Wayne, because I ordered it at 9 a.m. and it was sitting on my porch at 3 p.m.
Wow.
So, yeah, it must be sitting right here in our fulfillment center. We've got 2 of them in Fort Wayne.
I'm still pounding the Death Wish gingerbread coffee.
Yeah, that kind of shit makes me so on edge that I can't get nothing done because I'm
Look, here in a minute, I'm gonna go continue chest day.
yeah. So, but no,
This
that
is better than pre-workout.
it's very good coffee. It's as far as I'm concerned, I've not done a like side by side taste comparison, but it's pretty much an analog in my opinion to the.
Well, you
I'll have to
can't-
try the Texas pecan.
It's
Yeah.
good. I think my brother really enjoys the San Antonio, and my wife likes that's just the straight espresso because we've got a little espresso machine in there. And I like it all. I drink it all black. So
Yeah, me too.
those whatever flavor, except for the creme brulee, I don't like caramel. But yeah, all of those flavors are really good, honestly.
Would this be the point to tell that I've managed to get myself off coffee?
Really, all together. So no caffeine
Yeah.
or just no coffee?
No.
We
I stopped
appreciate you
caffeine.
letting us know
Ah,
I
that.
was gonna
okay.
say you hate yourself.
No, he just doesn't like going to the bathroom 30 minutes after a cup.
No,
That's
it's not that.
Ah.
It's what, because I was drinking so much coffee at work, right? That the weekends I would just have a permanent headache. because
yeah.
you know I just
That's a lot
because
of coffee.
So you're cutting back on caffeine.
yeah. So I
Because
still
if I
have,
said I
like,
quit,
Pepsi
if I said I
Maxes
quit
and
coffee,
Red Bulls or whatever.
Yeah.
if I quit coffee, everyone would assume that I just switched back to Monster.
Everybody in my life
Yeah.
would assume that I'd done finally lost it.
Right?
I mean, there was one time some years ago when I was admitted into hospital with a medical problem, and I had
As often
no
people do.
caffeine for the 3 weeks, and so I was actually off all caffeine. I slept quite well, I remember. It didn't last very long though. But as I said, the coffee thing is one thing that I've managed to stay off because, as I said, I would just have these horrible headaches at the weekends. Do you know what I mean? And it was just a bit. I was fed up of it. And so, and plus, when it comes to when it's drinks, when it's caffeinated drinks like Pepsi, Coke, Monster, whatever, you can sip it and have a little bit through the day. Generally, I know you can put coffee in a flask and it'll be warm and hot most of the day. Well, that's too much of a faff most of the time. And nobody's going to drink cold coffee. Well, unless it's actually
The hell you
made
say.
as cold coffee. No, I mean, if you
haven't
get cold
met me.
coffee, as in it's cold coffee, not I bought hot coffee and it's sit there and 3 hours later I'm now gonna have it. That generally doesn't taste as nice.
No, that just means
Yeah.
you drink it quicker so you can start the next cup.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much I don't go for the next cup, but I do just buy it
Army
and
coffee,
just call it a
kids.
day.
Army coffee.
That's the only way I make it.
Oh, so
I
you
mean-
take the
Fundamentalist.
grounds and pour them into 2 combat socks and tie a knot at the end and throw that into the tray and slide that in and filter the water through that.
No, I have the
Not
bag
kidding.
filters that you can use for a cold brew, and it does the same thing without that interesting sock flavor.
Well,
That's sweat.
It's only when they change the socks, when they get new socks. But you pull, because those socks used to be OD olive drab green, right? That's how they are when they issue them to you, or at least in those days. And after a few times of making coffee, the OD green kind of fades to a yellow sort of color. So yeah, somebody's drinking that OD green sock coloring.
Dye.
But I tell you what, that was some coffee that was utilitarian coffee. Because if it didn't,
Oh, I don't
wake
know.
you
You
up-
gotta have NHS coffee. If you have NHS coffee, it's basically just coffee flavored water
Oh,
with
yeah.
some caffeine in to stop you dying. Do you know what I mean?
You guys are doing it all wrong, man. You put the boiling water on top of the grounds, no filter. You just let it settle and drink the top. That's how that works. And then
Well, no,
whenever
you
you're
use
feeling
a French
fancy,
press.
there you go. When you're feeling fancy, you can upgrade to a French press, and you still can't have that last drink unless you want the sludge.
That's the best part.
Yeah, that's the part you can eat.
Oh, it's so
Put that in the
great.
freezer and freeze it, and then eat it like a popsicle.
Oh God.
You got to brush your teeth afterwards, though.
Yeah.
Oh, coffee.
Oh my god.
I love how we're selective about our chemicals.
We
We're like coffee's okay, alcohol's okay, nicotine's okay.
Maybe
let's see.
methamphetamine.
No, I'm open to all the drugs. It's good.
Yeah.
Just the ones that'll kill me, I don't want.
Just specific methamphetamines, though.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the ones that
Just
okay,
specific
let me rephrase.
amphetamines. The meth
ones
isn't the
that'll-
right part.
I don't like the ones
Amphetamines.
that'll put me in jail. Let's keep
Yeah,
it.
well, I like those too, but yeah, I can't have those because they'll put me in jail.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was great, driving from Texas to Iowa, and you pass through all those places where it's perfectly legal to buy weed.
Illinois. My goodness. Michigan. You could blindfold me and I crossed the Michigan state line. I could tell you exactly the moment we crossed because they all drive drive their cars
Think so weed.
and
Yeah, every
smoke
time I
it.
get gas here, and now of course I'm getting it in a certain place. There may be a certain higher proportion of those individuals that
Clientele.
might be interested, but I swear I just go, "Yep." Every single time,
I
I'm just,
don't understand.
like,
We
okay, which car is
genetically
it?
engineered the seeds out of oranges. Why can't we do something about that stupid smell?
No,
Yeah.
It's because they're buying the skunkiest shit they can find, and that's the reason
mean-
you're smelling it 3 blocks away.
No, they've got a rep for it, so they breed it in to it. They're like, here, smell this. It smells like dirty feet every time.
So you're
But
saying they
they're
like it? That's part of the appeal to them.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, absolutely. It's like smelling a whiskey, dude. It smells terrible.
It's like getting the loudest keyboard that you can. It's to make sure that everybody
I don't know
else
what you're
knows
talking
that you
about.
have it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bill's got the keyboard and the whiskey, and they are both of those things.
Look, I don't buy it unless it's got blue switches, okay?
Ugh.
That's what mine's got.
It's like a mate of mine who got into vaping, and he was kind of like, "Why do people get the ones where you make all the clouds and stuff?" I'm like, "Because they
Look,
want to." He said,
watch.
but the whole point is that you
Because
can
it
do
makes
this.
you
I
look
can
like
do
a
this
douchebag.
indoors and not have to go
Oh, here we go.
outside. I know.
Here we go.
I knew this would great radio, please.
Narration. Joe just blew smoke into the camera.
Yeah.
And because I like him, I hope popcorn lung isn't a thing.
Yeah.
Popcorn lung was caused by one specific chemical that was added to buttery flavored e-juices. And it was denied.
Vaping butter flavored e-juice.
You'd be surprised. I mean, this is mango kiwi right
think-
here. So
I think you might have my attention
almost
with that one.
always, I've almost always made my own
20-ounce
e-juices.
ribeye.
I've never used a buttery flavor.
There you go. Ribeye flavor.
Ribeye or
No,
Ooh.
I imagine you can. Okay, I
mean,
imagine you can get a ribeye flavor, but if you try to get a tobacco flavor, all you're going to end up with is something that tastes like flowers.
Tobacco doesn't actually taste that nice.
Some people still want that flavor
I mean,
because
cigars.
they've been used to it.
No,
Tobacco in cigars
depends
is
on how
all
it's
right.
cured. Yeah, it
But
depends on how it's
tobacco in
cured.
cigarettes generally doesn't taste that nice. I
Hold
didn't
on,
Cigarettes are
hold
the
on.
worst
It's an
application of
addiction.
tobacco possible.
Yeah, and this is me, by the way. I've been a smoker since the age of 16, so it's not like I haven't smoked, right?
No,
So
That
so-
explains the
I-
bias.
No, I just never liked the taste personally. It was more the addiction was my issue.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
because
if
the taste is
nicotine
terrible.
was not, yeah, nicotine would be. I would just absolutely just like they have the new gums and stuff like that. I know better than to start trying them because I froze.
Oh yeah,
again.
I mean, so ever since
No,
I
you're
moved over to vapes, I'm actually vaping a lot more than I used to smoke, right?
Yeah, I've had to dial down since I make my own juice. I've had to dial down the amount of nicotine in it because I tend to, just
you have an
Vape.
e-juice
it's
lab?
not
the
too
time.
much.
You have an
all
e-juice
you
lab?
Juice
addictive,
lab.
all
Look.
you addicted bastards. This is why you have
is a-
Linux. You're addicted.
God,
to
that even
pain.
looks like...
this is a fresh gallon that I just recently made. Okay.
Vegetable
Here.
glycerin, it says.
Yes, that vegetable glycerin is the base, and then
Okay.
you add. Hold on.
That's actually a supplement for your lungs. It helps.
I
It's
can
really
hear
good
the
for you.
banjo
Well, it's
music
really
now.
good for your
Lubricates
skin.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Really want that.
Lord
inside.
have mercy.
And then you add your flavorings.
Also, 100% natural. Out of beaver buttholes.
110% natural.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
one of
The
the
extra,
setups in the
the
back of
extra
your car?
10% is beaver butthole.
Beaver butthole.
Probably.
Yeah.
Where do
Yeah.
you get
Uh,
beaver
Okay,
buttholes?
that sounds like a channel on Pornhub.
No,
that
no.
does.
So one of the one of the flavorings that come in artificial vanilla come from like the little butt sack from
Glands.
a beaver. Yeah, the gland. There you go. That's what it is.
Nice.
Yeah. So beaver butthole.
I'm so happy that a scientist discovered that. Like, to
I
know
mean,
what
what?
they
Yeah,
were
what were
doing.
you
How did they
doing?
figure that out?
They were
You have anything
expressing
more
the
important?
glands. They were expressing the glands, and we're like, that kind of smells like vanilla. And then here we are.
And here we
Wow.
go. That's the name of the episode, Expressing the Glands.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Palpating.
Let me go ahead and write
Hey,
that.
So
down.
at the risk of staying, at the risk of being on brand, has anyone done anything with Linux or technology?
I was going to talk about that.
I had some stuff to talk about as well, actually.
Okay.
One thing which is Linux related is I've got the new Ubuntu 25.04, and I am
Nice.
surprised. And I'm surprised how much I like it. I really do. It works really well.
Why? Why though? Why are you surprised that a product that's been around for more than 10 years, doing the best out of all of the distros, is good?
He's surprised
So-
he got it to work.
I'm surprised that it's as much of a difference from the previous one. So the machine I've got 25.04 on had 24.10, right? And so I was kind of like, is there any point upgrading? And I was like, well, I will, because it's only got 9 months of support and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know what it is about it. I mean, maybe it's some under the hood stuff, but it just feels smoother. It just feels nicer. Do you know what I mean? Not that I've ever seen that in an interim release one. That's my point. Yes, I mean it was already good. That's why I was using it in the first place on my laptop. You know, but I mean I've seen this a lot actually with some of the other reviews as well. There are a lot of people going 2504, a surprisingly significant release, or there's more stuff in here than just increased version numbers of X pieces of software or whatever. So that was one Linuxy thing, and one more general computery thing I was going to mention was, so thanks to Bill, I've been resurrecting my podcast, and I still have to get the links for it too with Spotify and Apple and the RSS feed stuff going. And somebody contacted me and said, I've seen you've got the new episode up on your website, but it's not there on the Spotify. And I was like, yeah, I need to sort that out yet. Anyway, while I was sat there reading this text message, I thought, well, I wonder if I can just upload it, from, onto because I did actually have a Creators for Spotify account, because all of the first season was made on that. Yeah, and so I just logged in. And then I thought, well, okay, have I got the audio file? Well, I had the audio file saved on my cloud storage, whatever. So I just downloaded it. And then I thought, let me upload it. And then it wouldn't upload because it was a FLAC. And for some reason, Spotify doesn't like FLACs. And so this is all happening while I'm at the gym, in between sets. I managed to download it, convert it, and send it up and publish it on Spotify. And I thought to myself, man, these phones really can do such a lot. I need to do more stuff on mobile. Do you know what I mean? It's just, they're so powerful. All of that was just so easy to do.
You converted it on your phone.
Yeah, converted it on my phone.
Sounds like a nightmare.
It took about 30 seconds to convert it from a FLAC to a MP3.
Bill, coming from you, the glutton for punishment will do anything whatsoever just to be able to
self-host
I've got a
keyboard.
Do it, right, that's what I mean. But just buy a Bluetooth keyboard that connects up to your phone.
Yeah, I got one.
You know what? I've had a very similar experience, Majid. When I was doing some video editing, I was just playing around, and like when it would render, and I mean a fairly lengthy video, with a bunch of edits and clips and stuff. And I don't know if it was just because the software was that optimized, or if like the processor in my, Pixel is that good. But I mean, it was like, wow, that was way faster than I would have expected it to go. And it was a full 1080p. And so I think mobile.
It's very much the processor, Eric, and I'll tell you why. The ARM processors, I don't know actually exactly what it is with these ARM processors, but I'll tell you that Kden Live on a Windows machine and on a Linux machine, I get very similar results in both, rendering whatever video I'm doing for Linux user space. I take all of those assets, put it on a Mac, happens twice as fast. Using CPU only, not going out of my way, because Kden Live doesn't support a lot of the Apple stuff. They just run on Apple Silicon. But
CPU.
No, it's just twice as fast. I mean, that's it. It's just twice as fast on Apple stuff, on the ARM style processors.
Well, I know you guys have heard me talk about using DeX while I'm at work. Yeah. And I will do a lot of the stuff that I talk about on DeX on that whole desktop mode from my Samsung phone. So,
yeah, and I do too. It's actually a pretty usable interface for a desktop. I mean, it's comparable.
Did he get quiet all of a sudden, or was that my headset?
No, he's gone quiet.
I did?
He's fiddling with it. In the middle of the show, he's fiddling with it. No, he fiddled with it. He's got foot pedals down there. It does keyboard combos.
But yeah, the point, and there's this YouTube creator, Juan Bagnell, and whenever he reviews phones, he doesn't do the usual kind of Geekbenchy type stuff. He actually okay, I'm going to render a video, or I'm going to do a batch processing of some photos, or I'm going to mix some audio, whatever. And he uses those metrics, and he's like, most phones that are out now will beat a 12th gen Intel Core level for any of those tasks. Yep. And like some, like I think there was one a 2-minute video that he was exporting into 2K or something like that. It happened so quickly. He was like, I didn't even get a chance to record it properly. And how that gives you a much better idea. And then you do notice the slight differences between the chips. So, for example, Pixel phones seem to be better at video editing, even though the benchmarks show that they're less powerful than the Snapdragon ones. So there's obviously something in the architecture of the chip, which means that video editing it's much better than you would expect, but other things it's not. So I just feel like me anyway, I need to do more stuff to really get the worthwhile out of the power of these things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's what's not in the architecture that makes it so fast. x86, these 64-bit processors that we've been using, the AMDs, the Intels, and all that stuff. These processors have 40 years of baggage going forward, and they'll never remove it. Never remove it because we need backwards compatibility with all kinds of crazy stuff. ARM doesn't have that baggage, so you can get directly to what it is that you're trying to do. And so they just tend to be more efficient about everything because there's not a translation layer for this. They're not trying to emulate this. They're just doing what they do very fast.
That's a good point, actually.
Fewer layers of abstraction.
It's like the thing we've talked about, like technical debt. That is a problem. It's like, for example, why mobile networks, I mean, in the US and in the UK are a bit rubbish when you compare it to places like India and Pakistan and whatever, because they didn't have a legacy infrastructure that they needed to repurpose. They just went straight to 4G and 5G from zero.
Yeah.
Well, while here we've got all these masts and whatever that need to be upgraded and this, that, and the other. I've got a friend of mine who's gone on. Unfortunately, his aunt passed away, and so they've gone to visit the family, that side of the family in Pakistan, and he says that he can be in the car driving, from village to village in Pakistani Kashmir, and he can still be doing all of his Teams calls over 5G. And nobody knows that he's driving in the middle of the mountains. That's how good the signal is over there. And it is that thing about there isn't stuff that needs to be supported. It's just de novo from the beginning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's all IPv4 and moving to IPv6. We've been trying to do that since 1999, but and we're getting there, incremental upgrades or whatever. But there are some companies that are just so large or whatever, they just refuse to do that, and they have enough money to tell Cisco to keep it in, and so they do. And
there's too many people making money, too much money being made off of the artificial scarcity.
Right, but this is
has.
So I mean, for whatever you want to say about Apple or whatever, I mean, they just cut it off. They said we have the chips now. We're gonna.
Yeah, I was going to ask because Apple. I was just wondering, but does Apple Silicon? I know they're ARM chips, but I assume they've got lots of software that needs to be backwards compatible. I mean, they're not on the level of Windows and Linux, but
yeah, they force you to use Rosetta, which will emulate the old x86 stuff. But they're pretty apparent about it. Like this might have slowdowns or whatever because you're not using software made for this Mac. So be aware of that. But I mean, Apple is at least big enough that they'll make the software manufacturers move around. I mean, Adobe Photoshop, one of the biggest software gold mines in all of history, was one of the first on Apple Silicon. So they'll make you move, and that's one of the good things about what's happening in that space is just that when they decide to do whatever it is they're going to do, they're going to do it, and then you need to come along, or you're not going to work, or you'll work slowly.
There's always that strategy of an emulation layer to begin with.
Right. That's Rosetta. Yeah.
Right, and that's almost the same. Well, not almost. It's the same thing they're kind of doing with Wayland right now, right? I mean, everybody's trying to push the Wayland, so X Wayland is kind of a bridge to get there. And they had the same thing when they switched from PowerPC to Intel back in the day. And
that was Rosetta 1, actually. That was Rosetta 1. We're using Rosetta 2 now.
And it's a good strategy because really all you're looking at in most cases is a performance hit, and in a lot of cases a kind of negligible performance hit. Of course, native is going to be better, but at least gives you that bridge to start using a technology before everything is ready for it.
Yeah. I mean, My next thing that I'm going to do is, because now there's an ARM image as well of Ubuntu 2504. I'm going to try putting it on the Snapdragon laptop that I've got.
That's what I'm interested in. I want to hear your experience on that, because I'm so close to buying some kind of ARM, Windowsy type laptop, so that I can do exactly that. I'm waiting for Framework to come out with an ARM based board, so that I can just upgrade to that, skip the AMD step altogether, and just go straight to that.
I was going to say, I'm sure they've done an ARM one, haven't they?
They've done a RISC one, development boards for RISC, but not ARM as in Snapdragon or anything like that. And that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, so that's the next thing that I'm going to do. Sam just got around to doing it yet.
That's cool.
I mean, I've actually downloaded the ISO on this machine already. It's just a case of getting it onto a USB and doing it from there.
Has anyone heard if the Copilot PCs run Linux well? So
this is what I'm going to find out, because that's so the Lenovo.
Oh, okay.
So Lenovo Slim 7i, I think that's what its official name. 7X, sorry. So it was one of the Copilot branded PCs, with the button and all that sort of thing. And so that's what I'm going to try out. I mean, I think basically because the Copilot is just a branding thing. They were just trying to brand these things in a particular way. And they said something about it has to have a certain amount of NPU power, so you can have Intel chips that are technically Copilot PCs, but in reality, it was just all the Snapdragon stuff. Apparently, the AMD, is it the Strix chip is supposed to be, it's based on the old architecture, but it's supposed to be one of the most performant ones. Only out in a gaming tablet at the minute, apparently.
And the Framework boards. Framework has these chips, the 390s, 395s, whatever those are.
Okay, that'll be.
So it's enticing, and that's what I'm talking about. Like I would, if it's available, I would skip that and go straight to ARM. Because
I'd like to have it just to have
a lot of that baggage.
Low power consuming device I can take on the road with me.
ARM.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is one of the best things about this is that I charge it once a week. It's the only thing that's come close to that the M1 Apple MacBook I had some years ago when it comes to battery life.
You drive past Micro Center all the time. Go pick up an M1 or M2 MacBook Air for like $600, and the battery will just never die on you, dude.
I believe it or not, I've actually considered it.
I will believe it, because I think anybody that cares about battery life has considered it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I don't even bother when I'm working on something important like audio editing or something like that, because usually I got to take Midcast on the road with me. I don't even bother using the battery, because that'll just suck it dry. Like right now.
Yeah, but you on this particular type of laptop, you absolutely could. You could do the whole entire edit from start to finish and still have 80% battery at the end of it after a render.
And that's compelling. Yeah. But it's interesting. You brought up Kden Live, because I get on average about render time is like a half an hour on a 1 hour show sometimes, depending on what machine I'm using, give or take between 20 minutes and half an hour. And I've heard of people using comparable software on a Mac, and it renders in less than 10 minutes.
Dude, this is Kden Live to Kden Live, just on different operating systems and architectures. Correct. So Linux and Windows, I will get approximately 60 frames per second, but we're talking like 5 video tracks and 3 audio tracks, right? So I mean, it's a pretty complex render, but I can, out of a 5800X, AMD 5800X, I can get about 60 frames per second to spit out any render. And this is rendering at 30 frames per second. So I'm rendering, 2 frames. What's the calculation there? It's half the time of the video to actually render the thing. On the Mac, when I pull all those files over and render it over here, happens in half that time. So yeah, I mean it's insane. 120 frames per second I can render at over here.
Time is precious, dude. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it really is. I do like those really long renders when I have stuff to do though. So like, I'll put something together. Like right now, right after the show, I have to go put together the behind the scenes stuff and render that. That will render in about an hour to an hour and a half because it's like 2.5 hours of stuff. And what I'll do is I'll just hit the render video, audio, so it'll be 2 renders, and then I'll just go to town to do stuff. Like I'll come back in 2 hours and it'll be ready to do stuff with. But yeah, on the Mac, I couldn't do that. Like I'd have to be back in 15, 20 minutes. Otherwise, it'd just be sitting there forever. Yeah. And this is all CPU bound, by the way. This is not using GPU anything on either of those. So it is a pretty comparable comparison.
Just H264 or 265 right there
H264.
On the
yep.
CPU. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And so all the CPUs support encoding in that. So It's not like it's about as fast as that stuff is ever going to get.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, it's compelling to be sure. So
yeah, hopefully by next time I would have actually got around to doing it, putting it on and seeing what it's like. So yeah, what was the computer thing you were going to mention, Joe?
With Proxmox, I got an LXC of OpenWRT set up and working with OpenVPN and PIA. So for an eventual R stack that I'm going to set up. But what I did to test it out was I took the version of Mint that I have set up to automatically use the graphics output and the USB output from the Proxmox machine that I have, and I pass the network through to that. And what I did then was, in order to get Barrier to work, I did have to open up a port, but I can verify that it has its own IP address, and then I open up the port, turn on Barrier, point it to the right location, and I can share my keyboard and mouse over to it, and it has just been really, really smooth. I'm surprised that with it reaching out and coming back in, that it works that smooth and that fast with Barrier and the keyboard sharing.
I've not tried Barrier. I've been interested in it to be kind of a replacement, replace a KVM switch kind of thing.
It works pretty well. There are issues if you're using it at startup.
What, you mean
Because
auto starting it or?
Yeah. If you're using it at startup, you have to turn off login at boot for it to come up so that you can, automatically start using it, which is a security concern.
Right. You mean they don't have like some kind of systemd unit that you can start up prior to even the graphical stack or something, or right after the graphical stack?
Not that I've seen, and I've seen other people complain about the same thing.
Bummer.
Interesting. So you're still on that Proxmox journey then, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to continue having fun with it. I mean, I'm not going to turn this off anytime soon. It's running my Pi-hole, and it's a much faster setup for my WireGuard. So I'm going to be keeping it.
Yeah, what other journey would you be on other than rolling your own KVM solution than Proxmox? if you're trying to keep it Linuxy, right? Because that's I've got the same exact setup. Just Proxmox running on something, running a big old bucket of VMs for me.
Yeah, I have a few VMs. I have the VM that I've kind of dedicated to using on my phone, so that way I have a full version of Linux that's available to me on my phone at any given time, which kind of awesome. I have a couple. Actually. Yeah, I have a couple of LXCs set up, Home Assistant. I have one specifically just for various things that I'm running on Docker, and then I have the VM that's connected to the monitor that's hooked to my chair that is currently running it on a different IP address. And then I set up a second node that is a set-top box in the living room. I talked about that on the show, and it has so it has a VM of Mint, and then it has the Pi-hole setup and the WireGuard setup because it's closer to the router. Oh, and I did replace one of the cables that is connected to the garage. And instead of being limited to 100 Mbps, I now get the full 300 to 400 Mbps. So much faster out here in the garage now, which is awesome.
Every little bit helps. You know, I switched over to PIA last week too. I forgot to mention that. I was using Mozilla,
From what?
Mozilla VPN.
Okay, outside of cost, was there a reason that you did that?
Well, because the only easy way to install Mozilla VPN is on a Debian or Ubuntu-based distribution.
You're going to say Arch?
Here it comes. On the Arch machines,
Overcomplicated.
it has to be installed through the AUR, and it is a bugaboo to compile, to be sure.
So why don't you just use a real Linux then?
Oh, shots fired.
That's not the correct question. The question is, you use Arch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was obvious when he said something didn't work.
And I mean,
You're still supposed to ask it though.
I'm still paying for Mozilla VPN. I probably will until I become comfortable enough with PIA.
Are we going to have you list all the services that you pay for again on the show?
Oh, I don't want to do that again. I don't ever want to do that again.
Just cancel them all and you'll never have to.
I was thinking of more as we were talking about them, actually, when we made that episode. That was somewhat disturbing.
Yeah, revealing.
Yeah, it's gotten to where I've probably lost track, if I was being honest.
Yeah.
But PIA...
There's an app for that. There's a service you can pay for that will cancel the services that you pay for, I think.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Another option PIA has that Mozilla VPN doesn't, at least not on Linux, is a kill switch, where if you lose your VPN connection, it just kills your internet connection, full stop.
Yep.
And Mozilla VPN.
Yeah, it ties
does
into
not
IP
do that.
tables. It's actually pretty nifty.
Yeah.
It immediately adds a firewall rule that no longer lets anything pass through. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've always just added my own firewall rule for that.
Yeah,
I trust my VPN provider to do that better than I could.
Yeah, same here. It seems like a no-brainer thing to put into a VPN service, but there's been a few that I've tried that they just don't do it for whatever reason. Mozilla VPN is based on Mullvad, which is about roughly half the price if you just went with Mullvad. I've been using Mozilla VPN for a few years now, at least 2 years, just because I wanted to give that money to Mozilla, but I'm not sure how I feel about that anymore.
What? Hold on. This is the conversation we should have been having, and we have like 2 minutes to have it. What are you saying?
Well, I don't know. I don't have anything to say.
About this.
I don't have anything to say beyond that. It's not that I don't want to support Mozilla anymore, because I do, but give me something of value that I know.
Best browser on the entire internet, not good enough.
Well, let's separate those things though, because I do donate from time to time to Mozilla for Firefox, but I wanted something that I could give them a sustained, money, but I don't give me the same thing. And of course, I know that's how open source works. Things get forked, whatever. But this is literally just the same thing with less features than the original thing.
Oh, you mean the VPN?
Yeah, the VPN. I mean, it has less features in the client. It's reliable. You have less servers that you can connect to than the base Mullvad client can. I
do actually wonder about that. That had to have been an actual decision that Mozilla made. Where is it a jurisdiction thing, where this is where they can protect better or something like that? I don't think anybody has an answer to this question, but other than people that work at Mozilla that work on this project. But why are there fewer? There's got to be a reason, a good reason for that.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, maybe they were getting a discount from Mullvad to
maybe those are
pass
their
it
higher
on.
bandwidth locations or something like that. Yeah, maybe.
And in order to sort of make a profit off of this, but yeah, and that's the other thing. If it was only a couple bucks more than Mullvad, okay, sure, fine, here you go. But it's almost twice the price. But it just, when I would run my updates on the two Arch machines, it would take as long to compile Mozilla VPN as it would take to update literally everything else on the box.
But again, that was your added
thing.
complexity, Yeah, exactly. It's an Arch thing.
You get a deb package, and you're not going to have that issue. So.
No, but
Exactly.
that's on the Arch machine, though. That's installing things the native way on an Arch machine.
Let me ask you a question about coverage. And I've tried a dozen different VPNs over the last, I don't know, few years, and I feel like it's an arms race. We talked about email servers earlier, and I feel like it's a very similar situation where the corporate firewalls, the services they're using, the third parties that they're using, I feel like it's this arms race of block lists where they are blocking whole, blocks of IP addresses that they know are being used by VPN companies. I've had to add more and more things to split tunneling to allow certain domains to bypass the VPN that I'm using. Because otherwise they just block it, and it's like gotten pretty common that that's just an issue for me, and like it's a pain in the ass. And so I think it's a little bit of an annoyance that, companies are basically saying, oh, well, sorry, if you're trying to protect your privacy, then we're not going to let you, view our website. And Cloudflare is the worst offender of any of them, honestly. So is this something you guys see or run into at all, or is it just me? Or
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, region blocking is a thing. So their excuse is that, certain regions aren't supposed to watch certain things like on Netflix or whatever. So they block the VPNs to enforce the region blocking.
And I've had trouble, like years ago, one of the things I wanted out of a VPN was a way to tunnel myself over to Manchester, England, and watch ITV. And they had the service I was using at the time had a server that they were advertising was set up just for that purpose. And of course, I switch it on. And
what are you watching on ITV?
I don't
Doctor
remember.
Who. What else?
Yeah, I mean,
No, but Doctor Who's on BBC.
I think it was Downton Abbey when that was when you guys were getting it, like 6 to 8 months before we were. And
never watched Downton Abbey.
It just plain would not work. It was blocked on their side because it was a VPN. So that's what irritated me quite a bit, was that it was this VPN is like advertising to use a VPN to get around geo-blocking. And when you try to do that, of course, they know, or they figure out somehow, that this traffic is coming from this IP address, and that IP address is a VPN, so they just block it. I mean, I don't know. I think I kind of gave up using it for that purpose after that, and just now it's just strictly to encrypt traffic, I guess.
Ooh, we got to jump over to the other show.
We do.
Yeah.
Anyway, let us know what you think. Let us know what VPN you're using. Show at linuxotc.org. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, I've been Bill.
I've been Eric.
I've been Majid.
I am still Joe.
You're stealing me. I'm still Leo.